In this movie, we're going to explore several different ways that you can sort of transform and distort your artwork. So far, we've been creating quote-unquote perfect shapes like squares and circles and triangles and stars and whatnot, but we want to maybe not have everything look so cookie-cutter. Well, that's where transformations and distortions come in. So let's go to the File menu, choose New, and just hit OK. Doesn't matter how big or how small the document is. And then what I want you to do is just go ahead and draw yourself a rectangle somewhere on screen. Once you have a rectangle drawn, come over here to the Tools panel, and I want to show you some of the tools that you can use in order to transform. You have the Free Transform tool, which allows you to come in here and actually modify this object, rotating it around, distorting the sides independently of one another, and so forth. You can also switch modes to the perspective distort so that you can sort of add perspective, and you can do a free distort, which will allow you to come in and just free range manipulate the corner points around. Now, the Free Transform tool has been revamped in the latest versions of Illustrator, and it's a lot better than it used to be. I love this little heads-up display that you get right here that allows you to go in between the modes. So the first one, of course, constrains you to only the original proportions of the document. Then you've got the Free Transform, Perspective, and Free Distort, all of which allow you to transform what used to be a rectangle into whatever this happens to be now. Let's go ahead and delete that, and let's grab another object. In this case, let's do a polygon of some sort. We'll just do a hexagon out on screen. So in addition to the Free Transform tool, you also have inside of the Scale toolbox something called the Shear tool. And the Shear tool allows you to assign the reference point, much the same as we've done a few times before. So let's click this bottom left-hand corner now. And with that selected, we can start to shear this away from that point or towards that point, or kind of manipulate it in those different ways to get some really interesting shapes. These tools, like the Shear tool, can be somewhat hard to control, or at least they might seem that way at first, so you just have to move your mouse very deliberately, very slowly in order to make them do exactly what you want. But you'll find as you continue to use them that it does get somewhat easier to use, and that you'll start to predict exactly what types of transformations are going to happen based on where you put the reference point and how you click and drag either to or from that reference point as well. So as you can see, there are several ways that you can manipulate your artwork using these tools over here. And in addition to that, you also have the object menu where you can go in and you can transform through menus. So you can do things like reflect, scale, shear, and so forth. And all of those will open up a dialog box, like shear, for instance, will open this up. And so you can change things like the shear angle. You can make changes to that. You can change whether or not it goes horizontal or vertical. You can change the angle based on that, and then you get a preview before and after, and then you can always create copies, and those copies can create extra shapes on top of that, and then you could use that duplicate formula that I showed you before with Command or Control D to create some really interesting spirals and things like that. So this started off as just a regular old hexagon. Now we have this almost like a layered piece of paper look here on screen. It's actually pretty cool what you're able to do with these very almost simple looking tools, but they really have some power underneath the hood once you know the secret to how to unlock it. In this movie, we're going to explore several different ways that you can sort of transform and distort your artwork. So far, we've been creating quote-unquote perfect shapes like squares and circles and triangles and stars and whatnot.